Hey guys, somebody had posted in one of my previous videos a request for a tutorial on the differences rhythmically between the types of tunes, particularly jigs and reels. Not so much the fact that one's in 4 and one's in 6, that's pretty easy to spot, but more so in how they're played stylistically. Typically the reels are played straight without a lot of choppiness to it, whereas the jigs, if you play those straight, they get kind of loping, they get kind of boring really. So what I was going to do for this lesson was run through a tune, just a good common jig, play it straight so you can kind of hear what I'm talking about with that, and then put in the lift. It's kind of a generic term, and I hate to be so vague on that, but I don't really know any other way to describe it. This is something that's come up in lessons that I've given in real life, face-to-face lessons, but I've never done a video on it, and it seemed like a pretty good idea. So I'm going to play a tune real quick here, just at least part of the tune, called The Rolling Waves. It's a great common tune, definitely one to look up and play if you want to get that. But I'm going to first play it straight through, without any rhythmic variation to it. And you can hear how it's just kind of da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's just not particularly interesting. So I'll play that first, and we'll go back through with a bit of the lift, and you can hear the difference, hopefully. So you can hear that there's not a whole lot going on there. One, I didn't put in a lot of ornaments because I wanted to hear just the basic melody. But with each note being exactly the same, it just doesn't have a lot of drive. It doesn't make you really want to listen. So that's kind of where the lift comes in. More so with jigs than reels, although we'll come back to reels here in a second. But I'll play it again with a bit more ornamentation, but pay more attention to the rhythmic parts of the notes rather than the ornaments here. So that's just the A part, but particularly in the second half of that tune is where it can get very loping. Where it's just played straight like that, it doesn't have a whole lot of interesting parts to it, whereas it's a great tune if you put a little bit of that lift in there. So I hope you can hear a little bit of the accent on some of those notes, where you can just kind of make it go where it kind of helps drive it along a little bit. So that's the jig. It tends to stand out more in the jigs a bit than in the reels. Typically in Irish music, at least in most parts of Ireland, the reels are played pretty straight. In the northern parts of Ireland, and also in Scotland in particular, they have a bit of that cut rhythm, which to my ear never really did much for me. It's one of those stylistic things that I just didn't particularly care for, but lots of people play it, love it, so by all means listen to it. If you listen to anybody from Northern Ireland and anybody from Scotland playing Irish tunes, you'll definitely pick up on that. But if we do a standard reel, let's say Silver Spear, which I think I did a lesson on a while back, you can kind of hear the difference between it played straight and playing with ornaments and with a little bit of that rhythmic lift. But it's a bit different in reels. So I'll play it straight again, and then you can hear it with some of that extra lift to it. So that's how it goes, basically pretty straightforward. If we put in some of the ornaments and put in a little bit of the lift, you can hear some of the difference. But again, it's going to be a lot more subtle than with the jigs. The jigs, it tends to stand out quite a bit. So here it is with a bit more of that groove to it. So again, a lot more subtle as far as the rhythmic variations go. The ornaments you put in can help or hurt that, really, depending on how you do it. But in most parts of Ireland, again, the reels are played a lot more straight. So hopefully that'll help explain a little bit of the difference between the two. The jigs, it's much more important to get that bounce, because they tend to be kind of like I don't know, like a train, and it just kind of wears you out after a while. So you need to have a little bit of that lift to it. Again, as with all of these, make sure you get the basic melody before you start goofing around with it. But once you get that, it's pretty important with the jigs. So hopefully that helped. Hopefully that answered some of those questions. And if you got any more questions, please feel free to send me a comment down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for listening again, guys.